How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? We're coming to the end of September, rolling into October here, which means that we are ever closer to the Blizzcon World Cup tournament coming November 2nd. So, with the end of the group stage, or at least the final group stage, we now have our final top 8. On the left side, we have France versus Canada and China versus Finland. And on the right side, we have US versus UK and South Korea versus Australia. So when we jump into it, I'm going to try and break down the first round matchups and predict who we're going to be having meeting in the semifinals. So our first round matchup is going to be France versus Canada. I definitely think this is going to be the biggest match, or at least the closest match of the first round. It's definitely a toss-up. It's hard to pick this one way or the other. On France, we do have a pretty good DPS lineup of Soon and Nico. Soon is an all-star level player from the Overwatch League. And Nico, although not from the Overwatch League, he does come from a top-notch contenders team in Eagle Gaming. They did win Season 2 of European Contenders, so I think that says a lot for him. However, on Canada, we do have a very good DPS duo in Agilities and Surefour. Surefour is also an all-star level player. Agilities coming from the Valiant. That's a team that's going to, or at least a DPS lineup, that's going to be pretty hard to overcome. However, if we look over at the tank line of Canada, I think that's where we're going to see some shortcomings in comparison to France. France does have Ben Best and Poco as their tank lineup, and Ben Best in their match against the United Kingdom certainly pulled his weight. I certainly think he showed that he belongs. He showed that he is an OWL level tank, in my opinion. Whether he'll get recruited, that's another story. However, XQC, I felt showed some holes in his game in his group stage with Canada. So XQC, as we all know, he's a popular streamer. He has performed in the OWL before, but I definitely felt that he looked rusty in his group stage. He showed tendencies, or at least holes in his game, that he sometimes make decisions on his own. He kind of acts on his own, and those decisions don't always pan out. However, on the opposite side with Ben Best on Team France, we did see that he plays phenomenal with the team. I also think that he showed that he is a top-notch main tank. So Ben Best and Poco together, I will think will have the edge over XQC and Note. If you look at the support duos of both teams, I think it's pretty even. You got Unko and Wiz on one side, you got Bonnie and Crimson on the other. It's basically just an OWL level support paired up with the Contenders level support. And on both sides, I don't think either duo really stood out over the other. So overall, I'm going to have to give my prediction to France. I'm going to see them coming out on top just because I believe that they're the better team. And their performance against the United Kingdom, they looked phenomenal. And I would have to give the edge to the better team. I do believe Canada has better individual players, but as a team, I don't know if they function as well as France does. And that brings us to our next match, China versus Finland. I think this one's definitely going to be a good match. You got Finland coming in as a number 2 seeded team, but I certainly don't think you can treat them like a number 2 seed team. Coming in second behind South Korea is nothing to be ashamed of, and I also don't really think it says much. The fact that they took South Korea to a tight map 5, I think that says it all. Finland, they're looking like a tough team. They're looking like a good team. They're a team chock full of OWL level players. Looking over at China, they're also looking like a good team. In their group stage, I think they performed very well. They performed excellent. And these teams, especially when it comes to Asian teams, you can't sleep on them. All these players, they may not be in the Overwatch League. They may not all of them be contenders level, or at least performing on a contenders team, but they still perform well. It's still a tough region. That's why I think this match is going to be close, but I think it's important to look at the DPS duo of both teams. And when you look at the DPS duo of both teams, Finland coming in with Linkser and Taimu, that's going to be a tough DPS duo to overcome. China will have to do a lot of work to overcome that. But looking at their match against Australia, I think the hole in their game really shows when it comes to how they match up with Finland. Against Australia, China showed that the best way they perform is by protecting their DPS, keeping them alive, letting them pop off from the back line. Now, going up against a team like Finland with DPS like Linkser and Taimu, that's going to be tough to pull off. That's going to be hard to pull off. Finland coming in with Taimu alone, a world-class Widowmaker, you're going to have a tough time leaving your guys in the back, expect them to pop off. Taimu alone can harass them constantly. We saw him doing it with Carpe in the South Korea match. Let's not forget to mention, too, I think Fraggy looked surprisingly impressive in his group stage working with Team Finland. I felt like before, a big shortcoming of his was he was overly aggressive. He had a tendency to kind of go after the team, try and go after the kills, and have a tendency to die first, or at least die a lot. Against South Korea, he seemed a lot more reserved, patient, disciplined, and worked with the team. So ultimately, when it comes down to Finland versus China, if China runs with the same plays they've been doing before, or at least how they handled Australia, where they kept their DPS in the back, expecting them to pop off, Finland, I think, will come out on top of that battle. And let's not forget that the tank line of Fraggy and Zappies, I thought they looked great. And ultimately, that's why I think China's going to fall short, and I got to give the edge to Finland. All around, Finland's a great team. The only thing I could see being their downfall is their lack of versatile comps. We saw it in at least the South Korea match. They're a team that strongly focuses on GOATs. But against a team like China, I don't think China's going to be able to exploit that. I pick Finland for that match. And so moving on to our next two matches, this is where the picks get a little bit easier and a little bit more one-sided. So next up we have US versus UK. And for this match, I will say nothing but respect to UK. To get to this level, top 8 BlizzCon World Cup, you're no slouch team. You're no slouch player. That being said, is it any surprise I'm going to go with picking Team USA? I mean, Team USA looked phenomenal in their group stage. Beating out every team, whipping out comps that looked like they were having fun. They were experimenting. They were trying whatever they wanted, and they were still winning. We saw some Metro Bastion comps coming from them. And I gotta say, I have to point out that in the Team Canada match, pulling out the triple tank with Sinatra and Ryan was impressive. And that's ultimately what's going to give me the edge against them, against the UK, is just alone the unpredictability of Team USA. Just the fact of you don't know what comps they're going to run. You don't know what strategies they're going to go with. They're unpredictable. And whatever they go with, we've seen firsthand already, they make it work. They don't try these wonky comps that fall apart and then they go back to plan A. That they try these wonky comps and they work. Who here thought Sinatra's going to go on Ryan? I'm raising my hand right now. I definitely didn't think that was going to happen. And it's also worth mentioning Team USA's aggressive playstyle. Just the fact that they're in your face, they take it to you, they're not afraid to attack you back to spawn and take whatever openings they can. Against Team Canada, they use that playstyle to a T and effectively. And so that's one thing I think we should be prepared to see also in the World Cup is that exact same playstyle. So when it comes to this match, nothing but respect to UK, but I can't imagine them coming out with the win on this one. Simply put, Team USA all the way here. And now finally we're at our last match. Team Australia versus the team that I don't think needs an introduction. Team South Korea, the previous World Cup champions. Do I need to give you guys my prediction? Do I need to let you know who I think is going to win this one? I'll tell you right now. I'll give up my hand now. Team South Korea all the way. Australia, same as UK, nothing but respect. They're good players, they're a good team, they wouldn't get here if they weren't. But, that being said, Team Australia did drop the ball against Team China in terms of the DPS battle. They let the DPS of China pick them apart from afar, and they did have trouble reaching them. And when you're up against a team like South Korea, with the DPS players of Carpe, Sabiobi, and Libero, I don't know how they're going to take that on. Huss, it didn't seem like he was able to pull his weight in the match against Team China. It seemed like he was kind of getting the short end of the stick in terms of the battles that China was coming out on top of. So when it comes to facing Team South Korea, Australia may be in this one for the moral victory. They may be trying to go for just the fact they want to give Team South Korea a tough fight. But at least for this first round matchup, I do not see any way Australia is going to be able to take out Team South Korea. My prediction, Team South Korea. So those are my predictions. Those are the teams I think will advance to the semifinals. One thing's for sure, I think we're going to be in for a really good World Cup tournament this year. So drop a comment down below. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. Give a like, a subscribe if you feel the need. And until then, I'll catch you later.